Yes, that's Devil by the Awesome Hours. Jimmy with his magnificent voice. Oh my God. Ah, my baby David is so awesome. He know how to get his wife going for the day. That's just what I needed. That's precisely what I need. Take the devil away from me. I think from the perspective of the principal character, that may be too late. Because the devil is on the table and consistently. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. It's Monica, your friend Monica. I know you, if you're my biggest fan out there and you like watching the family drama, you like to listen to the leftist commentary, you missed me for 2 days. I took 2 days hiatus with my wonderful husband David, the villain supporter, and we went to Nashville to see Jay Buchanan. He's from the rock band Rival Son. He played some acoustic song, tell us a bunch of stories. It was awesome. In this little venue they call Basement. I took some pictures. I posted them on Facebook. So I always take pictures. I was cold. I didn't have my jacket because it was warmer than here there. And I thought I could be cute with no jacket. And I got cold because I had to wait in line. My husband said it was only 20 minutes. I'm like, it sounded like an hour. So that's that. Yeah, but that's why you didn't see me for 2 days. But don't worry. Family drama is back on the table. We had to go back to the hospital, the waiting room, the grocery bag, the papers, Pound Authority papers, principal character, and we going inside the ICU unit. I know whenever I said outside ICU unit, people were like, what? I've never been inside the ICU unit. Don't worry, you going there today with me. But before we do, we got to talk about what's happening in the world. What's happening on planet Earth? What's really happening, Monica? Let us know what's happening. I'm going to let you all know right now. Well, first thing happened is that Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away, I think a couple days ago. So it's really sad. I mean, something is happening with me. The people that I follow on Instagram, they are leaving me, okay? My favorite was Nicolas Maduro. That was my favorite account. He's always dancing. I mean, homeboy know how to put these moves. They swagger like a real hot Latin Latino. They're the white supremacists. You know, you have to understand why white supremacists, they have no joy. They are degenerate. They're Marco Rubio. They like genocide, raping, killing, conquering. That's white supremacy. People who like doing other things like dancing, enjoying themselves, they don't like that. Because they're miserable. You have to understand what white supremacy is. A degenerate. It's a human that went off the rails. That's what a white supremacy is. These degenerate people. So they don't like us with joy. Especially brown and black folk. Right? They don't like that. So whenever they see a black folk with joy, instead of being a slave, instead of being dehumanized, instead of being like they showed them in WGN, right? Then that makes them upset. Because that's the only thing that satisfies them as human beings, so-called human beings, these degenerates, when they see us in degrading form. Because for them, they're really resolving their head that us brown and black folk, we're not human. Therefore, we shouldn't be dancing. That sounds like a human thing, right? So they want to deprive us. So right now on my Instagram account, I do go to Instagram, but I don't have they do send me a bunch of stuff they know I like. Like, for example, I like seeing disabled people just being humans, right? So they show me a lot of disabled folk of a variety of every place on earth. What disabled people up to out here, I see that. I don't think they know I like me, Monica, the mulatto, is the mixed race families. So I get a lot of mixed race families on my Instagram. And I used to guide Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson every day. I go on Instagram. He is celebrating somebody's birthday. He's mourning somebody's death. You know, he is visiting by all kinds of people. A man that loves the downtrodden, the poor, humanity of all sorts. A man that protests the forgotten, the left behind. You know, I mean, he's love people. He was not extremely ideologue. Let's put it that way. He was not an ideologue like me, but he supported liberation movement, like for example, Cuban and all kinds of Venezuela and all kinds of stuff like that. You know, when white supremacists want to bomb a dorm on a university or black college or something, he'll be the first one to go there and say, hey, fuck them white supremacists. We're not leaving. If they want to bomb us, they can come. That's the kind of vibe, you know. There's a lot of criticism for Jesse Jackson, you know, so he is a mixed bag. But overall, I think he was cool as fuck. And I'm going to miss Jesse Jackson. Rest in peace to Jesse Jackson. So that's that. Now, the other thing is that I'm only going to briefly discuss here is this. As you can see with the Republican Party, the white degenerate in power, and I have been hinting at this for a long time. If you notice, there's two parties, two fascist parties in U.S., right? The Republican and the Democrats. The Democrats are where they can have people of color. The Republican is just white fascists, KKK members, people like my mother-in-law, right? That's what occupy Republican Party. The Republican leaders, though, the leaders of the Republican Party are disproportionately young, right? Mike Johnson, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Tom Cotton. I mean, they're young leaders. They're like people my age or younger. That's who is in that party. And they're extremely fascist. These are degenerate white supremacists. Literally the 19th century type of garbage, right? They make Trump, in fact, I think they're worse than Trump, right? That's what happened with the Republican Party. And based on how primitive white folks still are, it seems like we're in trouble, right? Because according to these animals, they gotta take us back to not just neocolonialism, but full-blown colonialism. That's what's happening here. And if you went to Black Agenda Report, like you should every Wednesday, Margaret Kimberly just published a piece there talking about this, right? The Republican white supremacist agenda. And now they are unified with the white degenerates in Europe to do the shit, right? So that's what's happening. Now, for people of color, though, I don't know how about you, but I don't want to go back to slavery, okay? I just don't want to do that, all right? I know I'm a somewhat slave, but I don't want to go back to chattel slavery. And I definitely don't want to be slaved by these people like my mother-in-law or Henry or anything like that. I don't want to be this slave, okay? I just don't. I don't know. People of color just need to reconsider what's happening here. Now, they do have the weapons. I mean, I don't know what they plan here. Like they did with the natives here. They exterminated them. Almost 100% of this country was occupied by them. They are gone. I don't know if that's the plan they have for Latin America and Africa, but I do think we should go back to doing something we should be doing, and that's revisiting some of our thinkers like Dr. Fanon, right? Dr. Frank Fanon, The Right to the Earth. Let's read this shit and see what Dr. Fanon said about this to try to prepare ourselves to liberate ourselves, because we just can't let degenerates like Marco Rubio put us back in slavery. Let's not do that. We're smart. We're strong. I don't care what weapon they have. We just can't let the kind of degenerates garbage in the Republican Party put us back in slavery. Let's just not allow them to do that. Let's not allow them. I know they are arrogant right now with what they did to Palestine. I know, and trust me, I know. But that doesn't mean that we need to sit back and let these pale-skinned inbred animals tell us what to do. But that's just me, okay? I am a radical like that. That's just how I think. I think we can tell them to go fuck off. And hey, and if I want to re-enslave us, you want to steal our shit, you want to be proud of your fascist heritage or genocide and enslavement and rape, you praising a fucking Columbus, this animal that slept with infants and throw babies to the tigers. That's who you think we should be proud of, you Italian America, you piece of garbage. Let's just prepare ourselves. So that's what happened in the world. And that brings me back to the family drama. Okay. So now, last time when I spoke with you about the family drama, we spoke about the alienation, right? The alienation that my mother-in-law was concerned about Emily and Lacey. They're being alienated. And I made an argument like this is like the strangest alienation I ever seen, because and essentially when it comes to this type of alienation, according to my mother-in-law, my husband just needed to be this real creature that need to have two pathetic girls now to be women behind him like a little dogs, right? Instead of having his wife like a couple, right? Because for my mother-in-law, his wife is the problem, not the fucking pathetic kids, right? So I make that point. Now today, I'm going to go back to that alienation thing. But the alienation is going to be, instead of the people she worry about, it's going to be the person she does like with passion, and that's me. And for that, I want to take us back to that hospital. Okay, so at the hospital. So remember, if you've been following along with this play, you know what happened, right? On episode 1, I told you that my husband and I was in a room, right? I was in a room. After my video I was reading Dr. The How Europe Underdeveloped Africa with Dr. Walter Rodney. I did the reading on my video. I published them, and usually when I'm done with that, I eat some snacks, and then I took a shower because I'm a cold blooded, and sometimes I just feel cold inside, so I had to retake the shower. So I went and took a shower. While I was in our room getting dressed, my husband came in and visibly distressed, telling me that his mom is in trouble at the hospital, that we need to go at the hospital. Right? So that's what my husband told me. That literally, my husband came and told me that, and so I said, sure. I got dressed, and then we went. As Lily Emily, he also asked me to tell Emily, listen, we went to the hospital. And when we were in the hospital, but there was moving the principal character, also known as Jean, the matriarch of the Augustine family, my mother-in-law, from the 4th floor where she was in the room there to the 3rd floor, the ICU unit. Right. Now, while they was moving her, the hospital staff was moving her to the hospital, they asked us to go to the waiting room. And while we was in the waiting room, we all sat down. But before Christine sat her ass down, she was telling us how this gonna go. And he said that we gotta wait to get her comfortable, settle her down at the ICU unit, and it was gonna be 2 people at a time, right? That's what she said. Once she said that, I said, okay, great. I'm gonna go with David when it's time for us to go. And she went out of her way to say, no, you are not going. And literally point her finger at me. I'm not going. It caught me off guard. Why not? Right? And if you remember the episode, I basically let her have it, right? Like, who are you? I didn't understand the authority. You literally, the youngest daughter here. This is my husband, David Augustine. I am Monica Augustine. This is the Augustine family. Why I can't go? And then I noticed everybody in this situation is white except me. So you're singing me out because I'm brownie. That didn't sound right to me. So then she say that it's not about you. That's what she say. That too doesn't make sense. First of all, you say I can't go. Second of all, you say I'm the only one who can go. And the third one, you're now gonna tell me that it's not about me. When in fact, it's all about me. Okay? Yeah, it might be about the principal character at the room there, but it's about me. You telling me I can't go. I didn't just appear out of nowhere in this motherfucking family room and waiting room at a ICU unit hospital here. I came here based on reasons. Reasons being that I'm married to my husband. Right? Literally. And even I wasn't married, him and I, we've been a couple for nearly a decade now. And I'm always with him. Right? Unless I'm working or something. I didn't understand why I'm being singled out here. Right? It's like she wasn't getting it. She said I wouldn't go. Right? Now for my husband, he was too concerned for his mother, who seemed like in distress, right? Sickness and everything. And everybody here, by the way, everybody thought she's dying, except me. I said she's not dying. This woman is not dying. Nobody told you it's dying. The doctor didn't say she's dying. She don't look like she's dying. She's ill, yes. And she is having something that needs to be dealt with, but she's not dying, right? I didn't say those terms, but I was basically matter of fact. She's not dying, right? And in today's days, the level of medicine, understanding medicine we have now, the hospitals know when you're dying. They just know. They just all y'all know. They know when you out of here, right? You want to believe it or not, but they do. They didn't say anything on that. They made that up. These over dramatic white folk made that up, right? So anyway, I said that, like, she's not dying, but she said it's not about me. Okay. So, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You say I can't go, but I am going. Will my husband go? You already told us what the protocol, the rules are. Two people at a time, 30 minutes, and we're going to go to that room. When my husband get up to go, I'm going to get up with my husband and go. Because, hey, that's the only thing can happen in here. And she said no. So then she got the groceries back, right? I don't think she was sat down. She did not sit down. She went back out with that grocery bag, with my mother-in-law grocery bag. Her land of the free, home of the brave, right? And by the way, speaking of that bag, it made me think about something else, right? It made me think about something else. When, people who's been following this show may think like, you know what, Monica, you are a fucking drama queen. What's wrong with you? Yo, you so black. You are black and on the steroids, okay? This is why black folk can't get it together, because you, now we know, you black, you is black, okay? Like black folk would say, you is black, and you acting black, okay? You may think of that, but I'm not just trying to work with me here. Let me tell you why I don't think it's black. Let me tell you, white folk, right? People in U.S. or people who like thinkers or people other countries, they always say, oh, American people are so good people. It's just the government. Let me tell you, American people are not good people. It's just not. That's not true. These are settlers. These are settlers, okay? And the thing about this is, other races, other marginalized, non-white, other also mimic white folk, okay? And sometimes they think that this is their shit. This country that was stolen is also them. And they embody the white folk anti-social, genocidal, racist ideas about what they think this shit is. But I'm going to tell you, American people, I'm not saying they're not capable of being good, but as they are right now, they're supremacists, right? They are settlers, And that's the ethos of a settler. A settler is what? Somebody that had to kill somebody else to be the native. And they distorted. They don't have like an Iranian person who can draw their back like an ancient time, right? These are settlers. These are settlers. Anyway, so you're thinking I'm making a bad. I remember one time in my mother-in-law house, right? Henry and I got into the argument, right? We did. We got in an argument. And the argument was this. I don't know how this came into the conversation, but he was saying something about U.S. being in the South China Sea. And I was like, well, why the U.S. is doing the South China Sea? It called South China Sea. I don't think the U.S. should be anywhere near South China Sea. And Henry said something that's interesting to me. He said, well, they have to be there. They have to be there because otherwise we're going to be a third world country. That's what Henry said. Now, Andy, I don't know what level of education Henry has, but that's just how it goes with the Republican Party voters, which is white folk. Okay? That's how they think. Because they don't want a third world country. I'll argue this country has a third, fifth world in it. All right? Not to mention that his mind is like somebody from a Stone Age, right? Right? So this is not like very sophisticated people. And I told him, hey, Henry, I'm sorry to tell you. I know you don't want to be a third world country, but this country has third world country, okay? It had third, fifth world countries, and I know it, right? And I didn't want to point this out, but Emily and Leslie are related to some of those third world countries people that you don't want to be away from, right? Right? So what I'm saying is this. They know that what U.S. does to accommodate in the three-car garage, to make them have a portfolio they can talk about 24/7. They know about it. You have to understand, when you sociopath and you stop thinking about other people in humane terms, and you kind of conceptualize that, it becomes part of your ethos, you know. Now, my mother-in-law picked this up, that I was gonna say, no, I don't think so. I have a problem with U.S. doing that. This is a settler colony occupied by degenerates who literally rape human babies and sacrifice and eat them for whatever the fuck. These are not people I have any interest being anybody's near them, because they're savages, essentially. But my mother-in-law got that conversation short, because I would just, more or less, I was going to say no. And I was telling her, this country, if you don't know they have third and fourth world country in this country, you don't know shit about U.S., okay? That's another fantasy they have. They don't fully understand who live in this bit, who is who, and how things that they appreciate comes here to be, okay? And who is paying for them. And like I've been saying on this show, a lot of shit you have is because people of color, we had to pay for your fucking freedom, right? So you have a savage freedom, a predator freedom, a freedom that you had to kill other people for your shit. But anyway, going back to the hospital, I was just thinking, the Christine with the bag of my mother-in-law, and I don't remember her with the papers at that time, but then she got out, and when she got out, Henry followed her. And then that's when Henry came back and trying to talk to me and stuff. And when Henry told me that I was just there whining, because that's what I do. Alright? I just complain. I was like, I can't believe these white folk are treating me this way, And you know what? I should stop acting like that, because Dr. CBS has an argument, and Dr. CBS is a scholar and an academic that I follow, and she makes this argument over and over. Like, a lot of people of color, especially the middle class, not me, but middle class people, they always say that I can't believe white folks treat me this way. So I can't believe they do that. And then Dr. C always say, you wrote a book about this, saying that this is how they treat us, people of color. And now you're gonna say because they did it to you, now you're feeling bad? So you expect others to get that treatment and not you? And you know, and I understand, I get Dr. CBS point, but it's really it's a little bit. We human though. It's not even like it's not. It's something human. Like you just don't expect human beings to be this way. You know. That's what we call settlers. These are settlers. They have settlers mentality. They're really sociopath, right? They're sociopathic. They have no consideration for what I call normal human values and human concern and human care, right? They have nepotism. They only reserve those as if they're luxuries that you only reserve for your fucking bloodline or other white folk that you may be associated with. They don't understand that that's something you're supposed to offer to any individual, irrespective of the context, right? They don't know because they're settlers, right? These are settlers. These are settlers mentality. They're sociopaths. But anyway, I was just feeling really out of place, and I'm like, what did I do wrong here? What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. I supported my husband. I went with my husband when I go with my husband wherever my husband did. I didn't do anything wrong. I am where I'm supposed to be. What I would have done? Be at home and let my husband come here by himself? No, I wasn't gonna do that. It was not even a consideration. It was not that. And that would never happen. And I think they know that. They know that there's no way they will see my husband unless they see me. You know, and they don't like me. They just don't like my husband either. It's just that simple. But I wasn't going to do that. I'm going with my husband there. That's why I got married. You know? I mean, that's why I got married with my husband. I'm the kind of wife I go wherever my husband is. And that's the kind of couple I am. I'm always where my couple is. You know? I ain't married to my husband so he can go to the ICU unit to see his mom while I'm at home. No, it's not, oh, my husband gonna go to Vegas and I'm at home. Oh, that's not me. That's not kind of wife I am. No. That's not that. You know, if I wanted that, I would have been single. But I'm not single. I'm a wife. I'm married to my husband. And then literally that's our husband for that. But anyway, I was just feeling bad and like sitting there. But at that point I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go with my husband when he's here. But when Henry came back and he was just like, Monica, you know, Christina is not trying to treat Jean like a property. You know, she's in charge, okay? She's in charge. And then when she said that, when Henry said that, I was like, okay, fine. You know, so at that point, when in my head, I was like, okay, fine. Then I'll just let my husband go by himself, you know. But that's even before they changed the rules again, and now it's just going to be one person to go in the ICU unit. So anyway, so that's that. Now when Christine come back, that's where I saw those power of attorney papers. She had them in her hand. Power of attorney papers in the bag. So I didn't say nothing. I was just sitting there and stuff. And then now so at that time I think so I'm sitting there and I think that's after, yeah, okay, so I saw them, so she's sitting, and then it doesn't matter when what happened here, let me see. Okay, so she came here, so she's sitting down a little bit, she's over there sitting down. I didn't say. Then it was time, I think Lacey went first. After Lacey, Emily went, and then after Emily, that's when my husband went. All right. and my husband went. And when my husband was there, I was just in a room feeling like I already mentioned in my previous episode, that I felt the way you're supposed to feel as a black person in white supremacy world, right? You are, like Dr. Fanon say, you are disputed person. You are contested person. You are an other, right? And that's just how it is. And it doesn't matter where you live, that's who you are. Because these people, these white people, in control of life on earth, right? Essentially. And your humanity and your is always in question. It's always disputed, right? So I had that strong feelings at that time. And I was just really feeling uncomfortable and upset. And I just couldn't wait for my husband. Like, he was only there like 30 minutes. And I felt like it was eternity, essentially. I felt like the only thing I wanted back there was my husband at that point, right? But when my husband went there, I asked my husband, well, how was it? What happened is there? And my husband said that he was standing up, and then he was just standing up at the ICU unit, and then Jean, the principal character, she wrote down a piece of paper to ask my husband to sit down, and my husband sat down. And I said, okay, what else happened inside of that? And my husband said that he was just encouraging her, like told her that she loved her, and that Tom is on his way. All right, that Tom was on his way. And I'm like, how do you know that Tom was on his way? He said, well, remember I told you there's a group chat that I can't see, but it's just with my husband, right? And that's when he said, I'm like, why you didn't tell me about that group chat that Tom was on his way, right? And my husband said, yeah, I would just didn't think about it. So this whole time, my husband was talking to her while she was in this fucking ICU unit. And that just brought me back to my initial feelings here about this woman, about this narcissistic, racist at this point, because that's what I think she is. She's just a phony one at that, a racist white woman, my mother-in-law, Jean, the principal character, right? It just brought me back to that idea, like, this behavior is so unacceptable in my view that will never happen again. Never. If you're at a hospital, whatever the fuck, David's not going to be there. It's just not going to happen. Right? If you thought you can dehumanize my husband or dehumanize me, I said you want to treat my husband like a little dog that can be in your ICU unit and ostracize his wife, right? Somebody that you don't know about, you don't know shit about me and David's relationship, you got that all confused. And that's just how I feel about this. You know, your racist behavior, your antisocial behavior is exposed by me. And if you can see this episode, I started off respecting her. But the more I contemplate and I think about everything she did here, the more disgusted I am of her. Because she has really shown her whole family here, her grandkids, her children, right, how to be a matriarch of racists, all right, of capitalists, of anti people of color, anti people who different, all right? He think he's a good grandmother? Is that how the kind of lesson you want to send Emily and Lacey? And we wonder why they are afraid of Layla and Isabella. And why they think they don't want to be involved with their other family because they quote-unquote white trash. This behavior, all right? This behavior is disgusting, okay? And that's how I feel about this woman. And if she thinks you can excommunicate us or what have you, I don't give a fuck. Okay? I really don't give a fuck. Because you know what? What you do and how you behave it percolates and it reproduces itself, right? You think you can have a grocery bag, a genocidal grocery bag, while insulting me? Well, you were wrong because I was paying attention and I'm able to talk about it. All right? And that's all I wanted to say for this episode. Tomorrow, we'll pick up something else. For now, we go to Dr. Parenti. All right. Sorry, I'm so heated. Last time we read Dr. Parenti, More Wealth and More Poverty. So essentially what it is, the more wealth, 3-car garage, grocery bags, can go to fucking hospitals, the more poverty. There's people who don't make it through a hospital, right? Or they can't, they're not allowed. Yeah, they're not white enough, right? So that's that, more poverty, because poverty is what pay for these people, right? So they can be okay on surrounding another country to steal the resources, right? Because it gives them prestige, comfort, and what have you, right? They now, as we can see with the Republican Party, they now want us to be proud, they want white folks to be proud of their genocidal past and the current genocides, right? And to be proud of it, not to feel shame about it, like on the words of Marco Rubio. And I speak of Marco Rubio, he's an Italian American, something that my mother-in-law enjoyed very much, right? That because, like I say, people underestimate the average American, but these people, you cannot underestimate their blood. They're literally genocidal fascists, okay? They're settlers, okay? Let's not romanticize them. Let's just be honest about how they are, who they are, what they think, and just deal with it, right? Because this thing about trying to pretend that there's something they're not, like, quote-unquote human, is ridiculous. They have brute force. They are brute power. They are the one who in charge of the economy, the economic force. They're the one who in charge of the communication, the economic force. They're the one in charge of the military. But that doesn't mean that we need to oversee how degenerates they are. And I'm not going to oversee that. I'm going to talk about it. Right? So the Italian American that Marco Rubio was proud about is Italian American that my mother-in-law is proud about. Right? So let's talk about who is Italian American, a racist fascist who want to re-enslave people of color. Okay, that's what it is. But anyway, not all of them, because as you can see, I'm a huge fan of Dr. Parenti here. And as long as we have a few Italian American who can become Dr. Parenti, I'm going to keep those in my camp, because they're the ones who actually love humanity. And they don't want just this whole planet occupied by white, degenerate, wasted space racists, okay? That's what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's pick up where we left off, which is a holistic science. And moreover, after this book, we are going to go to that book that I say of Dr. Parenti of or the assassination of Julius Caesar's A People's History of Ancient Rome. That's the book we're going to read next. Because that book is helpful so we can understand what's the agenda of the white degenerate, the Republican Party. Because again, the Republican Party is the younger, the most energetic, and the one that give white folks imperial fervor that was gonna get them to the polls. And we may have to live with these white degenerates, the Republican Party, and foreseeable future. So we need to know what we're dealing with. You know, let's just read what this nostalgia about ancient Rome was all about. And so that's what we're going to read next. But anyway, let's start. Repeatedly dismissed as an obsolete, quote-unquote, doctrine, Marxism retains a compelling contemporary quality, for it is less a body of fixed dicta and more a method of looking beyond immediate appearances to see the inequalities and moving forces that shape social relations in much of history itself. As Marx noted, quote, all sciences could be superfluous as if outwardly appearances and the essence of things directly coincided, close quote. Indeed, perhaps the reason so much of modern social science seems superfluous is because it settles for the tedious tracing of outward appearances. To understand capitalism, one first has to strip away the appearances presented by his ideology. Unlike most bourgeoisie theorists, Marx realized that what capitalism claims to be and what it actually is are two different things. What is unique about capitalism is the systematic expropriation or labor for the sole purpose of accumulation. Capitalist annexes living labor in order to accumulate more capital. The ultimate purpose of work is not to perform services for consumers or sustain life and society, but to make more and more money for the investor, irrespective of the human and environment costs. Okay? You hear that? To make it for the investor, my mother-in-law, her garbage bank account, right? While destroying the earth and destroying people. Okay, that's what capitalism. That's what white folks like it because it disproportionately help them. Even though it also destroy a lot of white folk, but they don't care because hey, then themselves, these sociopathic animals, gonna profit from it. But let's keep going. As the central point of Marx's analysis is that the social structure and class order prefigure our behavior in many ways. Capitalism moves into every area of work and community, harnessing all the social life to his pursuits of profit. It converts nature, labor, science, art, music, and medicine into commodities and commodifies into capital. It transforms land into real estate, folk culture into mass culture, and citizen into debt-ridden workers and consumers. Okay? Alright, these so-called citizens. Alright? That's what they are. They're not citizens. They're debt-ridden workers and consumers. Okay, but let's keep going. Marxists understand that a class society is not just a divided society, but one ruled by class power, with the state playing the crucial role in maintaining the existing class structure. Marxism might be considered a quote-unquote holistic science in that it recognizes the links between various components of the social system. Capitalism is not just an economic system, but a political and cultural one as well. An entire social order. When we study any part of the order, be it the news or entertainment media, criminal justice, Congress, defense spending, overseas military intervention, intelligence agency, campaign, finance, science, and technology, education and medical care, taxation and transportation, housing, or whatever, we will see how the particular part reflects the nature of the whole. Exactly. Everything like that is in service of the capital's owners, or the capital's ruler, or the capital itself. Okay? But let's keep going. It is unique, dynamic, often boisterous, and it is shaped by the large social system, especially the system overriding need to maintain the prerogatives of the corporate class. In keeping with the system sustained function, the major news media present reality as the scary of events and subjects that ostensibly bear little relations to each other or to their larger set of social relations. Consider a specific phenomenon like racism. Racism is presented as essentially a set of bad attitudes, exactly, held by racists. There is little analysis of what makes it so functional for the class society. Instead, race and class are treated as mutually exclusive concepts in competition with each other. But those who have an understanding of class power know that as class contradiction deepen and come to the fore, racism becomes not less but more important as a factor in class conflict. Exactly. So the minor character in his garbage whiteness, he can just say, hey, we can go to UK because they have people who's darker and those are criminals, okay? All right, that's racist. These people didn't pick that up, that it's racist. They thought that that's what the white man's supposed to say, and that's just a normal thing. And I'm like, no, that shit is racist. It's racist. It is fucking racist. I don't care if UK is full of black folk. If you want to go to UK, now you don't want it because it don't have enough white folk. Now you don't want to go, that's the same UK. Okay? And we know that through so many studies, it could be the same house, same value, but if it's white attribute, it over is pricely, right? So it helps capitalism. Racism is capitalist, right? Because if it's associated with white, it's value. If it's associated with black, it doesn't have any value. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit. For what? So these primitive white folks are now more valuable than black people, no matter what? No. We cannot accept that. The capitalists have to go. It has to go. It's worthless. It's worthless to human life on earth. Only thing it can accomplish is what Marco Rubio is advocating. Genocide. That's it. It gotta go because they want all the natural resources in Africa. They gotta wipe out the African people and take over their land. That's all they think they can do. Like they did to America. And then he's proud of it. The conquest of the Americas. Whereas now, all we see is white folk, no more native. Natives are gone. That's what he wants for Africa and Asia. That's the shit that these people want. That's the shit they want. That's what the Republican Party is asking for. It's sickening. But let's keep going. In short, both race and class are likely to be crucial arenas of a struggle at the very same time. Marxist fighters maintain that racism involves not just personal attitudes, but institutional structure and systematic power. They point out that racist organization and sentiment are often propagated by well-financed reactionary forces seeking to divide the working populace against itself, fracturing it into antagonistic ethnic enclave. Exactly. Marxist also points out that racism is used as a means of depressing wages by keeping a segment of the labor force vulnerable to superexploitation. To see racism in the larger context of corporate society is to move from a liberal complaint to a radical analysis. Instead of thinking that racism is an irrational output of basically irrational and being system and what is it? And in benign system, we should see it. We should see it as a rational output of a basically irrational and unjust system. By quote unquote rational, I mean purposive and functional and sustaining the system that nurture it. Exactly. You know, I mean, racism can go away because my mother-in-law was going to be able to have her back. The grocery bag, the land of the free, home of the brave, live in a her 3-car garage, be able to, she can't. That's the only thing that gives her meaning in life, right? Racism. This land that was stolen from Native and cultivated by black folk that they dislike so much. They don't have to think about. That's when I was arguing that day in the house before I was unceremoniously asked to leave by Henry. I was like, listen, you complain about crime? We on top of the Native corpses right here. That's a crime. You being in this land with Augustine last name, European last name, is a crime. Okay? That's a fucking crime. So get it together. Get it together, please. All right? Get it together. All right? They love racism. Without racism, what do? They will not know where up it is from down. That's the only thing that gives them life. Right? Because when other people are being abused, it elevates them. Without people of color, that's why they should fight not to have a genocide. Because if they genocide us, what would they have? What? You think these white capital owners gonna let you have it? No, they won't. Okay? And if you don't know that, you should look what happened to Eastern Europe. And you should read the neoliberal Holocaust, bitch. But let's keep going. Lacking a holistic approach to society, conventional social science tends to compartmentalize social experience. So we are asked to ponder whether this or that phenomenon is cultural or economic or psychological, when it is a blend of all these things. Thus, an automobile is unmistakably an economic artifact, but it also has a cultural and psychological component, and even an aesthetic dimension. We need a greater sense of how analytically distinct phenomena are often empirically interrelated and may actually gather strength and definition from each other. Marxists do not accept the prevalent view of institutions as, quote, are just, quote, being there, close quote, with the natural innocence of mountains, especially the more articulated formal institutions such as the church, army, police, military, university, media, medicine, and the like. Exactly. All those institutions are filled with white supremacy and capitalism and racism. The church is the number one racist institution on white countries, on U.S. The church. Without the church, there will not be Palestine genocide. Literally, it wouldn't. They're the one who give it the whole reason we even conquered the America is because the church told the conquistador, like, hey, go there and slaughter all the savages, take over the land, because that's what God wants you to do. All right? This is why I don't want to go to the fucking church. Fuck them. If that's not the devil, I don't know what the devil is. I don't care what anybody say. They're not paying reparations. They're not paying reparations on all the evil shit they're doing. And they continue to do. If you look all the white degenerate in Washington, D.C., they go to the Vatican and talk to the Pope and shake his hand and shit like that. If he was such a man of God, he was like, hell no. I have nothing to do with U.S. state. It's an evil institute. I don't have nothing to do, but that's not what happened. J.D. Vance was over there, a racist, a white degenerate. Right? No, I'm not on that shit. These are not people of God. To the extent we know what that is, these are evil people. But let's keep going. Institutions are heavily shaped by mass interest and class power. Far from being neutral and incidental bastion, the major institutions of society are tied to the big business class. Corporate representatives exercise direct decision-making power through control of governing boards and directorship. And speaking of the church, Marco Rubio said something. He said, the way she painted this should be, the white folks should be proud of the heritage of conquest and genocide and raping babies and enslavement and all that stuff. He should be proud of all the record they have, right? Should be proud of it. And then also they should be proud of the communists is the one who fighting that, because communists, they don't want genocide or enslavement or anything, right? And that's wrong. He basically was saying the only person want to bring peace on earth is the communists, and that's what we wanted. That's why I'm a communist, because he's right about that. The communists are the anti-colonial, right? And that's what we wanted, because we don't want these degenerates. And he said that the communists are godless, right? Because according to white degenerates, God wants them to rule over us. That's the God. And they say that. You listen to these fascist freaks, that's what they preach in their circles. And that the God said that slave, they should keep slave and genocide and rape And because everything is justified through God. And God gives them, that's what they're powerful. They're powerful and go in the village and start all the shit that we see in Palestine. That's God gives them that, right? That's God giving them that. The God is telling them to do the shit. And I'm supposed to believe the God that's telling you to do that shit? No, I don't. I don't want to believe in your God. Your God is evil. Is evil, okay? I don't give a fuck. You know, they literally, to the extent that anybody who with a sense want to join the Christian faith, you hear shit like that, I'm like, no, I take my chances elsewhere. I don't go to the Christian God because it's fascist, it's genocidal, it's enslaver. I don't want that fucking God, right? I don't want it. And they know it, that is like, that the God want you to do shit like that. We don't want it. We want a peace on earth. We want peace. We want to treat people with humanity and decency. We're not trying to be, we don't want to keep experiencing genocides. Alright? We don't. But let's finish up. Business elite usually control the budgets and the very property of various institutions, a control inscribed into law through corporate charters and enforced by the police powers of the state. Their power extends to the managers pick the policies set and the performance of employees. If conventional social science has any one dedication, it is to ignore the linkage between the social action and the system demands of capitalism, avoiding any view of power and its class dimension and any view of class as a power relations. For conventional resources, power is seen as fragmented and fluid, and class is nothing more than an occupational or income category to the correlate with voting habits, consuming styles, or whatever, and not as a relationship between those who own and who labor for those who own. In Marx's view, there can be no such thing as a class as such, a social entity into itself. There can be no lords without serfs, no masters without slaves, no capitalists without workers. More than just a sociological category, class is a relationship to the means of production and to social and state power. This idea, so fundamental to an understanding of public policy, is avoided by conventional social scientists who prefer to concentrate on everything else but class power realities. You hear that? It is remarkable, for instance, that some political scientists have studied the president and Congress for decades without uttering a word about capitalism, without so much as a sidelong glance at how the imperative of the capitalist political economy order may play such a crucial role in prefiguring the political agenda. Social science is cluttered with community power studies that treat communities and issues as isolated autonomous entity. Such investigations are usually limited to immediate interplay of policy actors with the little say about how the issue link up to a larger range of social interests. Conservative ideological preconceptions regularly influence the research strategies of most social scientists and policy analysts. In political science, for instance, number one, the relationship between industrial capitalist nations and the third world nation are described as a dependence and interdependency, and fostering a mutually beneficial development rather than be an imperialist that exploit the land, labor, and resources of weaker nations for the benefit of the favored class in both the industrial and the less developed worlds. You hear that? And that's what the Republican Party is about. Yeah, that's what Marco Rubio was telling white folk in Europe and US, right? To go back to doing that. Now they have neocolonialism going right now. In fact, in a way, I kind of want them to pursue this idea of the full-blown colonialism, because when that happens, it will the people of color will go back to what they need to do, which is fight for true independence. Kick the white man out of your fucking shit. Tell them to get the fuck out. Cast them out if you can. Cast them in the morning and the evening until they leave, right? Because all these countries, they did not, white folks did not just get them independent. They had to fight for it. And I think they get too complacent, okay? And the Republican Party being so primitive racist, they think like, yeah, maybe they're gonna have to use nuclear weapons. Because there's nothing they can do. Otherwise, people will rise up. Africans will rise up. African will rise up. Right now, in Latin America, they should thank Venezuela, because Venezuela is doing real resisting. They're resisting. If Venezuela fall, they will have to, the white folk will just run shot all over Latin America, everywhere. In which case, Latin America is going to have to rise up as a whole. Right? Right now, they can say, oh, Venezuela, right? But I'm telling you, Venezuela and Cuba, without them, right now, white supremacy will run Russia, everybody. It's running Russia, but not as much as they can, though. You're talking about settlers, degenerates, racist, primitive, okay? Who have no concern for human peace, human dignity, or anything. These are savage animals. That's what we're dealing with here. All right? That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who have zero morals. Zero morals. Okay? They only understand something called money and power. Let's keep going. Number 2, the United States and other quote-unquote democratic capitalist societies are said to held together by A, common values that reflect the common interest, not by B, power, class power, and domination. 3, the fragmentation of power and the political process is supposedly indicative of a fluidity and democratization of interest group pluralism, rather than B, the pocketing and the structuring of power in unaccountable and undemocratic ways. And number 4, the mass propagation of conventional political belief is described as a political, quote, socialization and, quote, education for citizens, in close quote, and is treated as a desirable civil process rather than B, an indoctrination that distort the information flow and wax the public critical perception. Exactly. And that's what I did. It's an indoctrination with this flag, with the fucking bag of my mother-in-law, with this thing like, we don't want to be a third world. All that racist garbage is indoctrination. Human beings, we are not born like that. This is not something that white folk were just born in the body. No, it's an indoctrination, and it profits them. And they say, okay, if I keep this white supremacy shit going, I know I commit genocide, I know enslave people, I know abuse human beings, but it's gonna profit me, no human, right? And now I can protect my 2 granddaughters, even though they're pathetic, because they're white, right? I'm going to protect my white children and don't get a fuck about other people's children because they're not white, right? It's an indoctrination. It's evil. That's not a normal human behavior. Okay? And I love the words that Dr. Prenti said, that the mass propagation of conventional political belief is described as political socialization. And that's what Marco Rubio was saying, like, it's destroying the social cohesion in U.S. because some people are questioning the settler colony, especially with the Palestine genocide. They're questioning the shit. right? And it's destroying culture. So first of all, you stole this land. You're not entitled to a cohesion in a stolen land, bitch. You Italian American piece of shit, right? There's no thing like you are said shallow. You in the wrong place, all right? And you spewing racist trash to Europeans who are guilty of genocide. And as you can see, African Union already said they're gonna post that say that they gotta make sure they pay reparation for enslaving black people. Okay, bitch. And if you think you're gonna go back to fighting black folks, then bring it on, bitch. Bring it on. You degenerate inbred piece of shit. Let me finish up. In each of the instances, mainstream academics offer a version not as research finding, but as a prior assumption that requires no critical analysis upon which researchers is then predicate. At the same time, they disregard the evidence and research that support version B. By ignoring the dominant class conditions that exercise such an influence over social behavior, conventional social science can settle on surface factualness, trying to explain immediate action in exclusively immediate terms, such as approach placed in high priority on epiphenomenal and epiphenomenal. Okay, that's a white word. You can look it up in the dictionary. Okay, epiphenomenal and idiosyncratic explanation. The peculiarities of a specific personality and situation, what was habitually overlooked in such research and in news report, ideally observation, and sometimes even our political struggle, is the way seemingly remote forces may prefigure our experiences. Dr. Parenti, you know, you the shit, man. And we'll leave it there for today. I know I was heated. I'm always going to be heated. Yeah. I'm always going to be heated. It's really annoying. Anyway, tomorrow we'll continue with Dr. Parenti learning to ask why. Okay? Learning to ask why. Oh, that sounds so good. Alright, so now let's finish up with a song. I don't know what we can finish up with. Today, Dr. Anna Hussein is gonna have he's gonna have a good show on his office hours. So I'm gonna be a Dr. Anna Hussein show today. Not inside his show, but I'm gonna watch it. Alright, so what are we gonna listen to now? Oh, let me see. Okay, how about we, you know what, let's listen to White Trash Millionaire. That's it, White Trash Millionaire.
Booking.com has all kinds of stays because some want a house in the desert. Others do not.
Actually, only was blind man. When I was Gladstone chair, blind man. Free
If you can pay anyone, anywhere, instantly, your car insurance should be able to pay your claims instantly.